I thought today, well, I've had a couple of requests to look at Leap again. I have a fairly recent, I think it's a fairly recent video on Tumbleweed that's out there. So I said, okay, yeah, it's been 2 years since I've done Leap. Last time I viewed this last time I reviewed this was 15.2. So today is 15.4. It's not a release candidate. It is actually a full-blown release. So what's it all about? So first of all, SUSE as a organization has been around for over 28 years now. I mean, 1994. So they actually produced their first release of SUSE. And at that time, it was S.U.S.E. because it had the name of the company had a symbol. It was an acronym. They translated the Slackware scripts into German and released it as SUSE Linux 1.0. Now, you probably will read that SUSE has its basis in SLS, and then there was, I think, one other that it actually grew from. But in October 2006, SUSE was officially rolled out as an open source release. So at the time, before 2006, SUSE would produce a commercial version, very similar to Red Hat Enterprise Linux they have, and they still do. It's called SUSE Enterprise Linux. And then OpenSUSE would follow the main release. Well, that's no longer true. Today, OpenSUSE is the leader in building up the system, which then becomes SUSE Enterprise Linux. There's two main offerings. There's Leap, which is the one we're looking at, and Tumbleweed, which is a rolling distribution or rolling-like distribution. So yeah, they do snapshots of Tumbleweed occasionally. I don't remember how often, so that you don't have to spend hours doing updates to get it caught up. Leap is a free Linux-based operating system. They release major versions, which would be like 15.2, 3, 4, 5, and every year. So they support this for up to 36 months. And minor versions are released about once every 6 months or so. And those are supported for 18 months, so about a year and a half. Evergreen used to be a thing, and I haven't seen any updates to Evergreen in a long time, but Evergreen was SUSE's ability to extend the life beyond the normal support ranges. So, but I have not seen any updates to Evergreen in probably the last 5 or 6 years. So I don't know if that's still a thing. It doesn't look like it's actively being maintained anymore. The system requirements for this are 2 gigahertz dual core CPU or better. You need 2 gigabyte of RAM or better, and as you'll see today, that's probably the absolute minimum that I would attempt. I would probably recommend go to 4. 40 gigabytes of disk space, and you'll need a display of at least 1024 by 768 or larger. And also, the kernel that comes with 15.4 is 5.14.21. There's also hardware support for x86-64, ARM, and then it has to be ARM 64. Now, I noticed that they have also dropped the ARM 7, ARM v7, which would be a 32-bit. PowerPC, that would be the PPC 64LE architecture. And they also support IBM Z systems and IBM's Linux 1, which of course is 390X. There is support for RISC-V, although I did not see an official download for it. So that may be something that's being provided by the community. The C compiler is GNU GCC 11, although as you will see, the default compiler gets installed is 7.3, although GCC 11 is available. Security, it uses the same model of security as Enterprise SUSE. So for SSL certificate creation, you have dehydrated and Let's Encrypt that you can use to do that. In containers, Leap has available to it Singularity, which is kind of interesting because Singularity is the container management software that you'll typically find in scientific or high-performance computing, supercomputing workloads. Typically, you'll find it there. But they also have Builda, CRI-O, Podman, Scopio. Those are there as well. And, of course, Docker is also a member of the repositories here as well. As far as Office and groupware, you have LibreOffice that's available. It's version 7.7.3. The email client is Evolution. As far as browser is concerned, you have Chromium, that's version 106, and Firefox version 102.3. As far as desktop environments are concerned, you can install GNOME, XFCE, KDE, and there's some others that you can install as well once you get the system up. The XFCE version is 4.16. GNOME is 41. It'll be 3 after the update, and then KDE Plasma is 5.24. Your Qt is that goes along with it is 5.15. So there's also a number of technologies that are available. There's Snapper. That's a tool for managing Btrfs and LVM snapshots. Also, of course, YaST has been a technology that's been included with OpenSUSE for years and years. And that, of course, manages all aspects of the system. And I promised the last time I did this that I would take a look at YaST and show it off a little bit to you. So I will do that today. So one of the other things on the installation CD that you will notice is there is an installer option to install a transactional server. That is very similar to Fedora Silverblue, where you have a read-only root file system, and then, although in this particular case, this transactional server uses Btrfs to do the snapshots, and so it will, and LVM snapshots too if you're using that. So yeah, you can roll forward and roll back, and then be able to get back to known working versions of your operating system in the event you install something that completely trashes your environment. Atomic part of the transactional server is used to atomically install all application updates and applies those updates across the system as a single operation. So you don't have multiple start and stop points. So yeah, you're not installing this package and installing and that package and this package. So if you do updates on 10 packages, you have one operation essentially as the atomic thing. So you either roll it all back or you don't. I mean, it's all or nothing. But that allows you to revert whenever you need to do that. So you do use a different command. It's called transactional-update, and you do not use Zyper for that. And it is taking one gig. Now earlier when I did this, before I installed anything on it, it was down around 800 meg. So yeah, it looks like GNOME Shell is working. Let's see how much, if this is probably a browser. Let's take that and close it. Yeah, see it. That's definitely a browser because it dropped quite a bit. There we go. So it's saying 723 meg now. So it's dropped quite a bit. Now it's the update has put us at 41.4. The kernel version is 5.14.21 and a patch and some patches after that. So the other thing we need to look at is glances. Let's see what the app caches are taking. So 979 megs, so just shy of a gig. Now they're saying that you can run this in 2 gig of memory. Yeah, you could. You wouldn't be able to do a whole lot with it because I'll bet you as soon as I fire up Firefox, I'll bet my memory will jump at least 500 meg, maybe 800 meg. Yeah, 1.4. Yeah, half a gig. Now, the last time I ran this, they actually had a score above 70. Okay, let's see what we got. Oh, got a 70 again. So that's good. So that's barely passing. I mean, that is passing. And OpenSUSE is one of the very few that do it. And I think mostly the reason behind it is because is simply because of this. The fact that they have broken out these directories. The last time I did this, I did not cover YaST, and I promised I would this time. So let's go find it and bring it up. YaST comes from an era where we had yet another, that's what the YA stands for. Every time that we would add on something, it would be yet another, and this is yet another software tool. So if you're thinking, oh, that's like Cockpit for Fedora and Red Hat. No, this goes, no. This goes way beyond that. Yeah, YaST controls almost every aspect of the system, both from hardware to software to virtualization, as you can see there. So yeah, you could pretty much, you don't have to do much on the command line with this. Now, I think, yeah, there's a number of plugins that are here as well. I think they're actually called in, but we can look. Let me just do that. Yeah, these are the YaST modules here. So yeah, you can modify, you can work on the bootloader, the date and time, you can install a virtual machine. I believe that's using KVM to do that. And yeah, you can, yeah, all these are modules that are plugins. So that's how they keep YaST fresh and updated. And yeah, I'm gonna just close that out and come back over here. So yeah, we can look at, you can update from here as well, although and it'll do the check. My repos are a bit closer to home now, so I think that's the reason why it's a lot faster. So nothing here to do. Not a big surprise there. Also, you can manage your repositories. So remember when we had that list of repos on the start? So if you decide you want to add them back in, you can do that right here. Software management allows you to install and remove packages. So yeah, and then you have, you can change your keyboard layout. Here, there's virtualization. Yeah, it's install Zen or KVM. This would be an interesting video to do. But yeah, okay. So I think I'm going to we've taken a look at the install. We've kind of gone through a few of the applications on OpenSUSE. We looked at how Linus measured the security, and we found that it was passing on this particular release. Ran into a couple of issues, which are mine, I'm sure. One with a potential block on accessing the system with OpenSSH, but we'll figure that out. But the thing that is the most concerning to me, now I've said this before, and if you're using ButterFS as the root file system, that you'll find that is not a good choice, and the benchmark results clearly point that out. I mean, most of the benchmarks were looking at file system I/O, which for an operating system is a pretty major core portion of your performance. I mean, if your system suffers in I/O performance, your entire system is going to suffer. Now, the good news is that with OpenSUSE, you can put whatever file system you want on this, but I would not recommend using ButterFS as your home system. If you want snapshots, put on LVM with XFS below it. I mean, you're going to find that's a heck of a lot faster. But anyway, that's my opinion, and the benchmarks clearly show how poorly performing this is. So yeah, it heavily penalized it because of the number of benchmarks that were run on the FIO side, looking at different block sizes to be able to measure that. So all in all, it is, I mean, I think you'll find that OpenSUSE is a very solid release and offers some of the best utilities that you will find. If you think that Cockpit on Fedora is good, check out YaST. I think you'll find that it's amazing on some of the capabilities that it actually has. That's all I had for today. Hope you enjoyed this look at OpenSUSE Leap. This is 15.4, and I noticed that 15.5 is in beta, so we'll come back and we'll look at that in the future as well. Hope to see y'all again real soon, and bye for now.